Hello and welcome back. Today's episode, hamburger and french fry pot pie. Sounds like takeout, but straight out of our oven. Speaking of oven, let's preheat it. Set it to 450. Hit that subscribe button. I put out a video each and every single week. So in the meantime, let's get started here on Cook. Don't be lazy. Get yourself a skillet or a pan. Set your stove to about a 6. We're going to use some lean ground beef. This right here is 85% lean, 15% fat. This is about a pound of ground beef. So I'm just going to throw that in there. So what we want to do is we want to break this up. Break it up and brown it up. I'm going to stir every few minutes, but all I'm trying to do is break this up and brown it. Alright, so we got a few minutes to spare while this browns, so let's work on our onion. Take a yellow onion, cut it in half, and do a slicey dicey on it. Yes, I said slicey dicey. Once you're done cutting that up, as long as your meat is brown, let's take this back over to our meat. So we're going to take our onion, mix it in with our beef. Now we don't need our beef fully brown because we do need some time to cook down our onion. And if we wait until the beef is fully brown to throw in our onion, then we're going to overcook our beef. So just get it a little bit brown before we throw in our onion. Something about mixing in onion with raw meat just doesn't sit well with me. So I like to brown my meat just a little bit before mixing in the onion. So I'm just going to let this cook down. Let the onion cook some. Make sure everything's brown regarding the beef before we move on to the next step. Alright, so when your meat is looking almost done, we don't want this to be plain without any seasoning. So we're going to throw in some adobo. How much? Eyeball it. You should know better than to ask. And a little salt. Same thing, eyeball it. We're going to give it one quick stir. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but this has got some oil in it. We don't want oil mixing in with our fries, which we're going to throw in some fries soon. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a soggy meal. So we need to get rid of this oil. So we need to drain this. So let's take this over. How you drain it is up to you. I usually drain my stuff over the sink. So I'm going to take this over to the sink. Now what I like to do whenever I do this, so that I don't have oil dripping down the side of my pot like this, is I take a napkin and I wipe this oil. The reason being is because I don't want to sit this back on my stove. If I have a need to set it back on my stove and have the oil dripping, and then a fire can possibly catch. So I always wipe that side, the oil off this side. So while this is draining, I can give it a little shake to help it drain a little bit faster. What we need, a can of diced tomatoes. Now again, when I mentioned we don't want soggy french fries, since we're going to add french fries, I'm going to drain a portion of this juice, the tomato juice, out of the can. So using this sink right now is going to come in very handy, because I can take care of that draining and this draining at the same time. So I'm not worried about being perfect. I just want to get most of that juice out. Alright, I'm happy with that. So again, can of diced tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this right back into my pot. Let's get back onto our stove. Alright, so take that drained can and throw in your tomatoes. Now mind you, my stove is still turned on. Stir this in a little bit. We want to make sure our brown meat has a coating of tomatoes on it. I'm going to bring this back up to a simmer. Remember, it cooled down from draining it. So I'm going to bring this back up to a simmer. So one thing you're going to notice, even though we drained the oil, we drained some of the juice out of the can, it's still producing fluids. That's the tomatoes, they're breaking apart. We don't want soggy French fries. We're going to add the French fries soon. So we need to thicken up some of these liquids. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour into the mixture. As you stir, you're going to notice almost immediately it's going to get a little thicker. So as you can see, this is already simmering. So once it starts percolating, I like that word, percolating. Once it percolates, we're pretty much done. What we need to do now is find a casserole dish to put this stuff into. We're going to create a layer. Now, I'm going to use a glass casserole dish. If you're using glass, make sure that oven is definitely preheating. If you try to throw in a glass casserole dish into an unheated oven, chances are that thing's going to shatter. We don't want that. So always preheat that oven. Anyways, let's get to layering our hamburger and fries pot pie. So we're going to take some of our meat, and I say some because I don't know how much is going to fit in here. I don't want to put too much. So I may have made a little too much than I needed for this dish. That's alright. Alright, so first layer is our meat mixture. That's going to go on the bottom. So I didn't leave too much left. So mine's going to take roughly a pound. Next thing we need, some cheddar cheese, shredded cheddar cheese. Sprinkle that across the top. How much? Eyeball it. As cheesy as you want it. Just make sure you cover your meat. Alright, one last step. The infamous potatoes I've been talking about all night. I'm going to use crinkle cut fries. And I'm just going to, you know what? I'm not going to be nice and pretty and line them up. I'm just going to throw it all across. I'm a little impatient tonight, so I don't want to make it all nice and even and lined up, and I'm not building a house. I don't need this to be perfectly straight. So throw in a layer of French fries. Now with the French fries, you don't want to stack your French fries and create a mound. Just a kind of like a one small layer of fries across the top. Alright? We're going to stick this in the oven now. So the only thing left to do is cook the fries. We're going to bake the fries for about 20 to 25 minutes. That under layer of meat is already cooked. So 20-25 minutes, basically what you want to do is make sure those fries are nice and brown on top. And then, you guys know it, time to plate up. Burger and fry pot pie, better than takeout, guaranteed. I'll see you guys next week here on Cook. Don't be lazy.